Well, we're right in the heart of the NFL playoffs. It's a conversation that I wasn't sure I was going to have with this lady next to me about the Dallas Cowboys, but we're going to chat Dallas Cowboys, NFL, athletes moving from college to the pros, what's involved with that, and Kyler Murray. Why not? Kelli Masters joins us from KMM Sports. Great to see you again.
So good to see you. Glad to be back.
Thank you very much for your time. We chatted again at the beginning of the NFL season just to kind of get your thoughts and preview on the season. I think it was maybe a game in. I was like, oh, Dallas, what's going on?
They're struggling. Dak can't get it together.
Right, and now they're deep in the playoffs. Well, the second round.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Yes, absolutely. They're still in the playoffs, put it that way.
They are still in the playoffs. It was a little bit hard for me. I was at the Cowboys-Seahawks game, but two of my
you had players on each side,
I had
right?
players on both sides, and so I was like, is there any way for both of them to win? It was hard.
So what do you do in that case? Because you got to be in both camps. Are both of those players, their families there, and are you bouncing back and forth between?
Bouncing back and forth, and then after the game, having to be sad with one family and then be rejoicing with another family, and that happens at every game. But this one, playoffs are just different. There's, it's the end of the season for somebody, and for the other, it's a possibility that you're a couple games away from the Super Bowl. So, my hope and prayer.
3 games away at this point, right?
They are. So yeah, my hope and prayer was just be healthy. Get through, have a healthy game, do your best, and then, hope for the best possible outcome, no matter what that looks like. And I hate to admit it, I grew up a Cowboys fan, so I'm kind of excited.
From this area, a lot of us grew up as Cowboys fans.
Yes.
Blake Jarwin, the athlete you represent for Dallas, tight end out of Oklahoma State.
Yes. So he came in, obviously a lot of pressure on him, a lot on his shoulders with Witten being gone. Everyone expected him from training camp to be the guy and step up, and it's been a process. The team really truly believed in him. His position coach loved him and believed in him. Obviously still does. The front office, everybody was on in Blake Jarwin's corner, wanting him to do well. And there were some struggles early on, but my goodness, he has every single game has progressed, and we've seen the blocking and him just being able to put himself in the best position to make plays and to do great things. And he's done that, and it finally all came together. The Giants game was a huge breakout game for him, but it was what we expected to see all along.
Is he having fun playing for Dallas?
Of course.
Yeah, because you mentioned it off the top there that's a higher pressure situation. Dallas is just that team that stays in the spotlight.
Well, and coming through the draft, Blake went undrafted. He has a great story of going from walk-on to to being now in the NFL, walk-on in college to being in the NFL. Spent some of the year last year on practice squad. A lot of people know this. The Philadelphia Eagles tried to get him not once but 3 times. And he continued to stay with the Cowboys and stay loyal. The reason he chose the Cowboys in free agency was in part the opportunity to play for the Cowboys, but also to have Jason Witten as a mentor. And that worked out well. Yeah. Worked out really well. And it was hard last year. That was his rookie season, and we had to, he had to sit at home and watch the Eagles play in the Super Bowl, and think, well, maybe did I make the right decision? And I called and reminded him, you went with your gut, and there's a reason you're in Dallas, and you're gonna get your own Super Bowl someday. And who knows? Like we're 3 games away.
Yeah. Does he want to go into broadcasting? Long line of Dallas Cowboys who are now in the
That's
the
a long way off.
He
would be, I can say he's very well spoken and very football smart.
So there's potential.
And has great potential, but right now he's focused on being the Dallas Cowboys tight end.
What do you look at in an athlete that you want to represent this time of year? College athletes are saying, hey, I'm going to stick around at X, Y, or Z, or I'm going to put my name in the draft. But what do you look for, and kind of how's that going? What are the mechanisms at play right now?
Well, obviously it's a business, and so we're looking for players that we believe are going to have potential to make it at the next level.
Sure.
Not necessarily the #1 pick, but really any player. You look at rosters across the league, and many of the playmakers are players that did not necessarily go in the first round. Maybe they were undrafted, maybe they were kind of the 4th, 5th round range. Blake was undrafted. One of my other players, David Moore, that made the playoffs, was a 7th rounder out of East Central. And so we're looking for players who we believe have a future. Yeah, I used to just believe in everybody. You know, if you want to try it, let's do this. Let's make something happen. And I still believe in players and their dreams, but we have to identify who has the actual physical skills to make it at the next level and to be resilient at the next level. And so that's obviously part of it. But the other just as important piece is, what kind of a person is this? Is this young man, does he love football, but does he also see the big picture? What does he want to accomplish in life? Is he a high character guy? Even if he's made some mistakes or made some bad decisions, we all made bad decisions when we were young. And so I don't overlook that, but I also look for what are players, what is their heart? Do they really want to do the right things? Do they want to be leaders? Do they want to be great citizens? Do they want to have a future as a professional?
I guess that reflects on you and your business as well.
It does. I expect that of myself. I expect professionalism and integrity, and I want to see that in my players. So yeah, it's all part of it.
All right, speaking of that, do you go to your athletes and say, clean up your Twitter account? We talked about this a few months ago, but you still see it coming back.
You still see it. And I'll say this, most of the players, well, all the players that I recruit, I expect them to put their best foot forward, whether it's with media, on social media. We do dig back through now, because you just have to, and see if there was maybe something that could be taken out of context, or something that could be offensive to somebody, and just to make sure that everything is clean. We do make sure that that things are on the up and up with their social media. And then we have conversations going into the draft that, everybody has access to social media, and what you put online is there. Even if you delete it, there's a possibility that it's still out there somewhere. So let's really think about before you hit send, let's really think about it and talk about, is this, there's a checklist, is this beneficial? Is this smart? Does this reflect my values? So yeah, we do have those conversations. You have to have those conversations.
So we saw that with Kyler Murray. There was a tweet that he posted a few years ago that came back this season and became a situation, and he addressed it. Speaking of Kyler Murray, right now, I guess he has 3 options: stay at OU, go to baseball, go to football, NFL style. Report out of Oakland last night, perhaps the A's think he's going to the NFL draft. What's your take as a sports agent on that scenario?
I remember last year, really, when we were going into the spring game and getting ready for the baseball draft, and obviously I don't represent Kyler, he's represented by Scott Boras for baseball purposes. I'm not sure who's going to work with him on the football side, but I think the foregone conclusion was, well, Kyler's going to have a great year playing for OU. He's a great athlete, but probably not big enough to make it in the NFL, may not generate that attention. He's got guaranteed money and an agreement in place with the A's.
$4 million plus guaranteed, that's not bad.
Why would he walk away from that? And then he has the year that he has, and he starts gaining momentum and attention on the NFL side. And I think it's clear from people around him, and if you've watched him at the Heisman Trophy ceremony or in just throughout the entire season, you can tell football is his passion. That's what he loves. Baseball there's potential on both sides. There's potential for great income on both sides. It's more rapid.
It's not a bad situation to be in,
Yeah,
it's
not a bad problem to have.
Yeah.
So, but he's just got some tough decisions to make, because there are some unknowns. There are some known factors that if he does go the NFL route, he'll have to repay some obligations to the A's, and does he want to do that? Does he want to burn that bridge?
Yeah, that might be the bigger thing.
It's going to be tough.
Because I would assume your NFL contract is large enough that you can say, okay, here's the $4 or $5 million to offset that.
And if he goes in the first round, which has never been, I don't think it's ever been done by a player. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I don't think a player's ever been picked in the top 10 of both drafts, which could happen with him potentially. And contracts are guaranteed for the first rounders, at least for those first 4 years, potentially a 5th year in the NFL. So if he knows that he's got a team that's going to take him in the first round, he might have the money to do that, and that not be a major decision for him.
So who does an athlete in this situation, and hypothetically, lean on in this? Is it all family or
family, advisors?
Chat with an agent. Hey, here's
and hopefully it's a good agent that's putting the player's best interests ahead of his own. I can't imagine Boris is too happy with the situation, unless he's become football certified that I'm unaware of, or can somehow benefit from that side of it. But he's got some big decisions to make, and it's hopefully he listens to good people.
What would you tell an athlete? Hey, you're going to be on the bus in baseball versus NFL. If the draft is high enough, you're probably looking at the bright lights right out the gate.
Right.
I guess that's a consideration too.
It is, and
just
that's
two different sports.
Two different sports. It's a very different path, for players. And I've worked with players that have spent years in the minor leagues, staying in, motel rooms that are not the best, and traveling places from bus to bus, and not eating the best food, and just with the hope and prayer that they make it. And once they do make it, obviously, the lifestyle is very good in Major League Baseball. The contracts are guaranteed, and contracts and careers tend to be a lot longer in baseball than they are in football.
Perhaps
football could be
not the threat of concussions.
Right, and the injury considerations, quality of life considerations. There's a lot to look at. Football is there aren't as many guarantees, whether it's health, whether it's longevity of career. So there's a lot to think about there.
Getting back to we were chatting with Kelli Masters here with KMM Sports. She's the founder and CEO, sports and marketing agency. Some breaking news on your side of the fence today.
Today, signed Taylor Cornelius, the Oklahoma State quarterback. Thank you so much. He's a great addition to the family. We've added 4 players for this year's draft. Keaton Sutherland from Texas A&M. As an offensive lineman, Patrick Vahi from Texas, also an offensive lineman, Andrew Dowell from Michigan State, a linebacker, and then Taylor today. And I'll tell you, Taylor has the size, he has the arm, he has the ability to make the throws. He's obviously only got limited experience. He had to sit behind Mason for a couple years, so he's got that going against him, and he's got some things to work on and improve, but all players do. And I really think over time and with some development, he can make it at the next level. So I'm hearing a lot of intrigue and excitement from teams. So
what does your world look like from January through, I don't know, February, March?
It's a whirlwind.
Yeah. So what are you busy doing?
Most of my year is a whirlwind.
Sure.
So this Saturday, I'll be going to the Cowboys-Rams game. There is an all-star game, the NFLPA collegiate football game, all-star game, also in LA, and I have a player appearing in that game, so I'll stay for that. And then I'll bounce over to St. Petersburg, Florida for the East-West Shrine game. I have a number of players, including Taylor, playing in that game. And so I'll be talking to teams, talking to scouts, talking to coaches, meeting with my players, visiting them at their training sites.
Is that a networking thing with the teams, the players, the scouts?
It is. I've developed a network since the very beginning, which is kind of fun now. All of the scouts that I got to know back when I was a baby agent are now general managers. So it's fun to have. I had a couple of conversations with GMs this morning that I've known forever, for 15 years, who were scouts. We've all kind of grown up in the business together.
Well, that says something for you, the longevity to still be in the business too.
Yeah, that is a huge deal. Thank you. It's more kind of like I was talking to some people the other day about teams that make it through the playoffs and make it to the Super Bowl, and it's kind of like who can limp across the finish line. You're so beat up and you've endured so much, and I still feel like I'm in a lot of ways just getting started with my business, but I've also got some battle scars and have learned a ton through the whole process. So it's good.
Anything outside of representing agents that you're involved in these days? I know you got a few other things in the pipeline, but anything you can tell us at this point?
Oh my goodness, doing quite a bit of speaking.
Okay.
I am continuing to teach sports law.
That's right.
As an adjunct professor.
How's that going?
I love it.
Yeah?
Absolutely love it. Growing up, I dreamed of being a lawyer and a teacher, and now I've had a chance to do both.
Is this at Oklahoma Christian? Oklahoma City?
In the spring in the fall I teach at Oklahoma Christian, an undergraduate sports business law class, and then in the spring I teach at Oklahoma City University Law School.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
What do those students ask you? What do they want to learn? or maybe what are some of the misconceptions about the business that they have that you're like, it's not like that?
I think it's really eye-opening when they understand, and they have to kind of flow with my schedule. Sometimes I'm in another state and I just can't can't make it back for class, so we Skype, or
Gotcha.
I bring in a guest speaker. Sometimes I think they like the guest speakers more than when their professor is there asking questions. My class this last semester, I had Ian Rappaport from
nice.
NFL Network come and speak through Skype to my class, and I think they wanted him just to take over the class. But they were peppering him with questions because they know that I'm a source for some information. So they were asking him, you know, is Kelli a source? Is she one of your league sources? But I think all of my students have been wonderful. They are all very eager to learn.
Are those classes large? Is there a lot of people who want to get into this, or?
I have no idea how many maybe wanted to sign up and just couldn't because of schedule conflicts, but I would hope it's a popular class. We usually have between 12 and 15 students, so it's not a large class, and we have a lot of interaction. We have projects, I think, every semester so far, and we'll do it again this year, is we divide into owners and players, and union and owners, and they negotiate a CBA. So we'll see what they can come up with this semester.
Some somewhat real-life scenario type things.
It's fun.
See how they navigate that. And you're like, no, you can't do that.
Right, good idea, but probably not going to be able to do that.
Interesting stuff. All right, I'll get you out of here on some predictions. Dallas versus the Rams. What do you think?
I'm going with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I was pulling for the Eagles this last week only because I wanted Dallas to go to the Rams as opposed to having to play in the Dome against the Saints. I think that would have been really, and maybe they'll have to end up doing that, but happy they get to play in LA.
This Dallas team's been interesting this year. To me, it just kind of developed into this defensive strength juggernaut type team. Also, they were good at home, which they're not always good at home.
That was nice to see. It was a blessing to see just some real momentum for them this year.
But they got some big wins on the road as well.
They did, and let's hope they can make it 3 more.
All right, very good. Chatting with Kelli Masters, KMM Sports, and by the way, kmmsports.com. Right there is where you can go. Kelli, it's always good to see you. Safe travels, congratulations, and best of luck with everything.
Thank you so much.